Hello, my name is Vanessa Hargrave, and I'm going to summarize leadership ethics. What is leadership ethics? Leadership ethics demonstrates how leaders use their influence in ways that are morally right and grounded in strong values and good judgment. It is the practice of leading with integrity, transparency, fairness, and accountability. Focus is not on just what leaders do, but who they are, their character, intentions, and integrity. Ethical leadership matters because leaders shape the culture of their organizations and it directly impacts the people they lead. It involves making decisions based on strong principles and creating a culture where ethical behavior is prioritized. On the next slide, we'll look at what does ethical leadership look like. Ethical leaders make decisions that balance their own goals with the greater good, often prioritizing what benefits others and the organization as a whole. They lead with honesty, treat others with fairness and respect, and work to build a sense of community. Ultimately, ethical leadership is about doing the right thing consistently and creating an environment built on trust and accountability. Thank you.
How does leadership ethics enhance leadership studies? Ethical leadership studies show that modeling principled behavior can create a foundation of trust. Performance enhancement studies demonstrate that ethical leaders influence employee behavior by emphasizing fairness, resulting in higher task performance. Ethical stewardship, such as transparent decision making, can improve a company's public image. So, what is ethical leadership? So, what is ethical leadership? Ethical leaders focus on building community. They encourage their followers to demonstrate ethical behavior within their organization. Ethical leaders are servants of others. Ethical leaders help create the culture. They manifest honesty. They also demonstrate justice towards their followers. And finally, they design ethical systems.
My name is Alicia, and here we will talk about the criticism that lies with leadership ethics. Starting with limited research base, ethical leadership is still a developing area, so it doesn't have as strong or consistent empirical foundation as other leadership theories. Next, conceptual confusion. This is an issue because there's no single agreed upon definition. Some researchers focus on intentions while others focus on behaviors or follower perceptions. Following on to reliance on subjective perspectives. Much of the research depends on follower opinions, which can be biased, and earlier work was more theoretical than scientific. Another criticism is the Western centered perspective. Most studies focus on Western cultures, limiting how well the theory applies globally. In terms of generational differences, younger generations like millennials and Gen Z often have different views on ethics and face new challenges, especially with technology. Finally, the gap between theory and practice. This highlights that while ethical leadership is widely discussed, there are still few structured programs to help organizations actually develop ethical leaders. Thank you guys so much for joining in.
Hi everyone, my name is Peyton and I'm going to be presenting some new material when it comes to leadership ethics. The first topic is artificial intelligence. This is really important because it's becoming larger in our daily lives and in the workforce. When it comes to leadership, it should enhance human decision making, but crucially should not replace human leadership overall. Instead, AI should serve as strategic and analytical guidance, but responsibly demands ethical leadership and trust. Leaders must also ensure that when using AI, that we align with our moral values and foster overall human well-being. Looking ahead into the future leadership will rely heavily on continuous learning, digital literacy, and overall human empathy. These elements are essential to navigating the complex landscape AI presents. The next topic I wanted to talk about is organizational commitment when it comes to remote work. Remote work has become much more common, especially after COVID, and also so has hybrid work. How do we keep ethics and leadership when employees may be hybrid or remote? We have to continue to build trust. The research by Service and colleagues suggests that there are some critical actions we can take as leaders, such as consistent and transparent communication, maintaining in-person interactions when possible, leadership through modeling ethical behavior and integrity, and establishing and enforcing ethical standards very strictly. The next very interesting topic is the good is no longer good enough theory. This was brought to our attention by Rutledge and Caldwell in some studies that they presented, is that achieving leadership excellence today is a much higher bar than before. The path to becoming a wise, honorable, and ethical leader is more difficult, but it also helps ensure that leaders earn genuine trust, respect, and dedication from their colleagues and employees. This is something that I personally run into. Sometimes it can be hard to feel like a good and fair leader when we run into certain issues, challenges, or workplace nuances. So this is also something that I am looking into myself as a leader. The final topic is Gen Z perspectives on leadership. Understanding our emerging generations, especially Gen Z, is very important to the workforce. Brought to us by Nandi and Gatik is a study that shows that Gen Z individuals with higher emotional intelligence scores display that leadership traits such as integrity, transparency, fairness, and compassion relate to our overall leadership and ethical competencies. Except they've noticed a critical gap that there is a minimal focus on early career professionals when developing these ethical leadership competencies. Addressing this gap is essential for cultivating our future leaders who can adapt and thrive. So just as a reminder, we talked about artificial intelligence, the organizational commitment with remote workers, the good is no longer good enough theory, and future generations' perspectives of leadership.
Hello, thank you. My name is Kimberly Duplessis, and I'll be providing an assessment of the leadership ethics approach, specifically looking at whether it is useful, practical, easy to apply, and if it is dated. Overall, the approach is very useful in today's environment as organizations face increasing expectations for ethical behavior due to public scrutiny and past scandals. Ethical leadership helps build trust, improves employee performance and support, and emphasizes that leadership is about values, not just results. It is also practical because it offers clear principles such as respect, honesty, and fairness, which can guide decisions and be implemented through policies and training. However, it is still a developing field with one unified model. In terms of the ease of the application, it can be challenging because ethical decisions are often not clear cut and require strong moral judgment. This is further complicated by cultural and generational differences. Finally, the approach is not dated as it continues to evolve with modern issues like globalization and social responsibility, but it's still relatively new and lacks extensive research. Thank you.